And a lot of times, church, we can be guilty of doing just that. Right. Not loving our neighbor as ourselves as Jesus would, but make a quick judgment because somebody doesn't look like us, smell like us, or act like us. You know what I say to that? Shame on us.
Right.
Brother Scott's going to share a little bit with you today some application of the Word of God, verses you're going to be familiar with, but how they specifically helped his life to overcome some bad certain realities and how God saved his soul. So if you would, listen today to my dear friend, Brother Scott Caribou. Let's give him a round of applause.
Check. This thing on. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I don't think this thing is on, is it?
Yeah,
Check it is. They turned it down because I'm normally loud. So, I'm just going to put this down. We don't need this today. It's a wonderful morning for me because every morning for me is a miracle. And normally I just talk about all the drama in my life, all the drug addiction, all the alcoholism, all the debauchery. And yesterday we had a chance to do that on the street, and Andrew was talking about that earlier, and what a wonderful, glorious day. And, it's interesting because I mentioned yesterday that I made a fatal decision when I was a young man because I was struck with tragedy in my life as a young man. And,
Amen.
And you know what? When I was stuck with that tragedy in my life that I didn't ask for, at least I thought I wasn't asking for it, I think a lot of people may be in the same position where something just happened to them and they really didn't do anything to inspire those actions. After I started doing the wrong thing, then I did all the actions to receive the punishment. But at this time, I didn't do anything. It just happened, But it's interesting today standing here and just watching everybody, and especially Pastor Andrew, and because, and I'm not going to mention the denomination I grew up in, but when this tragedy struck me, you see, I turned my back on God. I turned my back completely on God. And now I look back and I wonder, was it so easy for me to turn my back on God because I didn't understand Him? Because the church that I was involved with didn't tell me who Jesus Christ was? Is that why I turned my back so easily? I was saved 5 years ago and I stepped back into a church. And everything Andrew was saying, was what I was finding in this church, which people looked at me, and they looked at my tattoos, they couldn't smile at me. Here, I just was saved, right? I was saved from 23 years of misery that I signed up for.
Right.
I'm not blaming anybody else. I signed up for it. I chose to turn my back on God. But now here, I'm walking back into a church, right? And they're judging me. They're talking about me. They're not smiling at me, right? I just been set free, you understand? By God Himself. Anyways, I wasn't even going to plan on going to that route until I saw one thing going on here. You know what the common denominator for people that know Jesus Christ is? A smile.
Yeah, come on.
A friendly smile. A handshake, not the fake one, turn to your neighbor, and they're reluctant to shake my hand. Anyways, so beautiful to be here and see everybody smiling and joking around and what? Celebrating life,
Amen.
Celebrating today. Because I believe in my heart, for those 23 years, I didn't appreciate anything. I took it all for granted.
Yeah.
I chose a path of world and flesh. I was going after anything that filled my emptiness. The anger that was building up in me from those things that happened was beyond belief. And everybody wants to hear Scott talk about his drug addiction and alcoholism and get called all over. And Andrew and a lot of the other guys in this room, we're going side by side into some of the darkest places on this planet.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for the solution. And most of them don't want the answer I have.
Yep.
It's so simple. It always was. But when I turned my back on God and I started walking into my future, what was the first thing that happened? What was the first thing that happened to me? Who was the first person I ran into on my journey to self-centeredness, to self-satisfy, to step over anybody and anything, including my wife and my kids?
Amen.
How's that working for you, Scotty? That's what I say nowadays. I was an atheist, you see. I was a God-hater at first. I thought Jesus was a joke. I thought God was a joke. And then I became very successful as a motorcycle stunt rider. Made millions of dollars over the course of the years that I was a motorcycle stunt rider. Went all over the world. Magazine covers. Bikes. Money. But you know what? None of it ever took away that pain and that suffering and that emptiness that I was dealing with since I made a fatal mistake. You know, I chose that path. When I preach on the streets and I preach in the prisons, better choose wisely. You see, we were offered a great gift. It's called free will. And I've used it for 23 years. To the point to where I want to get today. Scotty, how'd you do it? How you living? And I know I get passionate and some people are like, man, he's got a lot of anger still. No, it's not anger. Trust me. Someone took that away.
Yeah.
Someone took that away from me.
Yeah.
Right? I stood on this little box yesterday. I said, it is finished. He's finished. And he said it was so beautiful. Just finished all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Not just for you. Not just for those church people that are looking at me and looking at my tattoos and whispering. Because I know it's not finished for them yet. You know, we were talking about that earlier today. If you got Jesus, how come you can't smile? Right? How come you can't smile at me? So, I was saved. I was saved October 4th, 2011. You understand? I was saved from a life of misery. I lost everything, including my wife and my kids. All that fame and fortune, that money. And when I said I thought God was a joke, Jesus was a joke, I was the joke!
Yeah.
I'm back at my mom's house on my hands and knees, a full-blown drug addict, alcoholic, a user, abuser, a loser. Who's the joke? Who's the joke now, Scotty? I didn't know where to go. I thought I was completely hopeless. But there was one. I knew I wasn't. There was one that was always waiting for me. The simple answer. We go to these drug rallies, right, about heroin and drug and the car fentanyl, and everybody's like pointing fingers and shooting guns. We need more money, need this. And if we get rid of it, what? There'll be something else.
Yeah.
You're not fighting the drugs. I was never fighting the drugs. That was the easy part. I was fighting something else, way bigger than that. Way bigger than what's on the table, or in my hand, or in my veins. Misery, emptiness, exhaustion. I was tired. I didn't feel like living anymore. I had no idea what went wrong. Where did it go wrong? I never gave him a chance. Even at the end, I still didn't even see God in the picture. You see, I was saved. It's another time, a long story, but it's pretty simple. He chose me, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
He came down and he chose me. And those first 2 years is what I want to talk about, because all I knew was God existed. A miracle happened. I knew He existed. I was filled up beyond belief. I saw things I never saw before. Blinders. Those blinders that came on me when I walked were starting to peel back. You understand? But within that 2 years of God, there was something still missing. I couldn't get my head around God. I couldn't read the Bible. It took me a year just to get my head straight from all the drugs that I'd been taking. My mind, talking about it earlier. My mind, bro, year to rewire itself. That's what they want to say. They say it took that time to get those claws out of me. So here it is, and here's where I want to go today. Two of my favorite passages, and the solution to all my problems, and the guide to get to the freedom and the peace where I'm at today. Second miracle happened in my life when I was about ready to fail, knowing God. Back on my hands and knees. The only thing I knew was to keep praying, Scott. He exists. I don't know why He's got me here again on my knees. And then He came to me. Because I was yelling at Him. I knew how to yell. That anger was still there. Passion, anger. Let's get that separated. You know, this is how you separate passion from anger, right? Passion is when you can smile afterwards. Anger is when you just keep going, throwing punches. Say, Scotty, you want to know? You want to know why you're failing? Here it is. And that fell in John 14:6. I always want to say this. Open your Bibles, please. You don't have to, because I'm going to read it to you. Hold on. Now here it is, setting up the situation. It is, He's done. Jesus is done on earth, right? He knows. He's been called. He knows everything that's going on. The Last Supper, washed the feet. Everybody knows that story. I'm not having to rehash this, but I want to rehash this part, because this is the part that made the difference in my life, that truly knocked those blinders off forever. It was the introduction to His Son, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Through these simple words, Jesus answered them, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really knew me, you know my Father.
Right.
From now on, you do know Him as you've seen me. Right? Man, I ran with that, ladies and gentlemen. You understand, when I was trying to wrap my head around God, I couldn't do it. He was too big for me. It's just what He is, right? At least for me. He handed me off to His Son that night before I even read this. And so when I read this, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Wow, right? You see, because in my past life, before I was saved, my way was pride. The king of pride is Satan. My way had to go. So here's Jesus. He didn't say I might be the way. I am kind of the truth, because kind of the truth is what I always did for 23 years. And it says in the next section I want to go to, it's yes or no. Anything else is the other guys. You see, I was always in the gray area. It's kind of a lie. It's kind of a stolen bike. It's kind of a drug that I think I can walk away from. I'm kind of drunk. I'm kind of drinking and driving. I kind of just lost my family. I'm kind of stepping on my wife. I'm kind of going through a divorce. No. I'm the way, the truth. You see, Without Jesus, how can I really know the truth? Right? Being blind and ignorant, how can I know the truth or the way? And then the light. You know, I looked up the definition, because this is the one thing I was praying for, because I'm not the brightest guy in the cupboard. Way, this is the dictionary, right? Method, style, or manner of doing something. So simple, so elegant. And Jesus is saying, I'm the way.
Yeah.
Not kind of the way. Not sometimes I'm the way. I am the way. Okay, yes sir. Yes sir, right? Truth. State of being true. Okay, so what's true? Fact, reality, man. You see, my perception of reality was so blown out of the water, I had no idea which way was up or down. Right? Life. Existence of an individual, human, or animal. I was an animal, right? Without Jesus, how could we be anything else? Now, after I fed on this and read this, comes up the second problem for me at that particular time. That was what? Where's the instruction manual? How do I find out about this Jesus guy, right? So one of the most beautiful things that I discovered, or he revealed to me, something called the Beatitudes. And this is one of my favorite parts. When I read through this, it's forever changed my life. Because it showed me the way, the truth, and the life. And if you guys want to turn with me to Matthew 5. It talks about him walking up upon 5,000 people. And the 5,000 that they describe are 5,000 old Scots. Sick, beat up, worn, tethered. There's no jails, there's no insane asylum, they're all there. And I picture Jesus walking up over that hill and seeing all these people. And he's like, you know, what does he do? Does he walk straight into them? Goes up. He's like, and this is Jesus, right? He goes up, why? He goes up on the hill to hand over this guy to his disciples to go back down and deliver. Right? He saw the crowds. He went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came and he began to teach them, saying, you see, I always thought something was wrong with me, and the doctors told me there was something wrong with me. They gave me prescriptions to try to fix something that was wrong with me, but none of them is Jesus.
Amen.
So there was something wrong with them the whole time.
Yeah, say it again.
There was something wrong with them the whole time. You understand? For 23 years I was diagnosed with every disorder in the mind that you can imagine. Sometimes I'd walk out of a doctor's office, sit in my car, and call my wife and be like, dang, I'm broken. I'm broken. My mind is broken. How dare they? Passion. You know, and then we talked about this yesterday. I believe a lot of people need to be held accountable, even though I chose those paths and I chose to walk through that doctor. He didn't have to choose to diagnose me like that, or put me on pills that were more toxic than the stuff that's rolling around in the streets for 15 years, 300 tablets a month. How dare he? But I chose it. And you know why I chose it? Because I was blind. I was blind and I was ignorant. Because I chose to turn my back on God. So here we are. Blessed are those that are poor in spirit. Yes, please. Now this is another thing. I could not ever get over the loss that happened to me as that young man that made me turn my back. And I just found this beautiful answer right here in the Beatitudes. And I'll say this, and I believe it to this day, because I am now living it. Just mourning, Scott. Get over it. Get over it. What's wrong with you? Look what you got. You ride bikes for a living. Get over it, man. And they didn't even know what I was talking about. I was just always depressed. I was always empty. I was always angered. Always sleeping. Always drunk. Always high. Show me the way. I can't get over it. The doctors tried to get me over it. Blessed are those who mourn.
Amen.
They will be comforted. You understand?
Right.
That's all I wanted. Some comfort. And you know who holds that? He alone is Jesus Christ. Can't mourn without Jesus, Scott. This is the thing I want to go back to those doctors with. How come I didn't have these things before this tragedy? And how come I don't have them now? Because I've been set free through Jesus Christ.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
That's right. That's good.
Running through here. Now these promises are huge. And imagine me reading this for the first time. Scott. God. Sometimes he calls me Scott. Scott. Depends if he's angry at me or not. It's my son. Don't even come to me. Follow my son. My son is, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Here it is. And it goes on and on. If I think I'm having a bad day, I open up right here. And he resets me all the time. Blessed are the meek. Meek, I didn't even know what meek is. Meek, I thought was weak. I don't want to be weak. Meek. They will inherit the earth. Really? Look at these promises. Poor in spirit, the kingdom of heaven is yours. Not, I'll give you a Snickers bar. No. If you choose the way, the truth, and the light, which is Christ, the kingdom of heaven is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will be comforted if you choose him. Not half in and half out. Yeah, kind of like Jesus. I'm kind of rolling with Jesus today. I know that too. Blessed are the meek. They'll inherit the earth. Righteousness. What? What is righteousness? Man, it took me a while to figure that out because of the people, places, and things that I surrounded myself with. My choice, my bad, my suffering. Choose righteousness, you'll get filled. Blessed are the merciful. Mercy. Well, this is where comes the family. Friends. My kids deserve that. My wife deserved that. My mom.
Amen.
Blessed are the pure in heart. Pure in heart. How do we get pure in heart? To know Christ. For they will see God. What? How do I see God? I don't know God. Well, it says right there. Cleanse yourself. You can't be doing this stuff anymore. Scotty, that life is over. Simple. Right or wrong. It's dark or light. There's no more in the middle ground for Scott. These are the answers. If anybody's struggling or has someone that's struggling, this is the answer to Scott and his issues. There was no more half measures. I woke up and I said, I'm done. I'm listening to God and I'm following his son Jesus. And here's what I'm finding. The peacemakers. Peace? Man, look at the world today. It's all about division. But it's up to us to bring the peace, right? And not to follow. Be called sons of God. Salt and the light goes on right here, right? I can get lost in this. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to hit some of the highlights that truly rocked my heart. It says right here, it says Jesus. You are the salt. You are the salt of the earth.
Amen.
Right? Me? I was just crawling out of this dark hole like a troll or something. And he's saying, what, me? Yes, God, you. Grab my hand.
Amen.
The next part is, you lose that saltiness though, right? How do you lose that saltiness? Simple. You let go of his hand, right? Second one. You are the light of the world. I knew at one point early on I was the light, but I lost that light. And if you ask my kids or my wife while I was going through that 23 years, they definitely would not say Daddy is the light. But now they do. You understand? And that's the most beautiful part of my life today. I follow these simple instructions. I don't go in between the lines. It says right here, you're the light of the world, Scott. I said, okay. Show me. I will follow. One thing I want to end up here is through the first 3 years walking with Christ. This kid hit me up this morning. He says, I'm in a bad way, Scott. He knows Jesus too, you know? And this was it too, because I lost everything for a little bit. I didn't know how I was going to get to the next thing. I know Jesus is there. I know what I need to do. I know the qualities that I need to have. I know there's hope. I know there's love. I know the ultimate mentor right now. I didn't see the purpose yet, though. And that was a major thing. It's not to be a stunt rider. It's not to make money, be on magazine covers, or to be away from my family. If we go to Matthew 26, and you see people, this is the most elegant, beautiful thing that Jesus could have said to me at the time when I was struggling. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I could crawl out of this hole. I know He's there and He's telling me, but it says Jesus teaches about worry. How many people worry out there? Yeah. I want to hang out with the ones that don't. Just kidding. You see, worry is a quality of the other guy, I believe, in my life. So I'm looking up, okay. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body and what you will wear. This was huge.
Yeah.
This was challenging, man. You see, I came from a materialistic, self-centered world, which that's all I worried about. Who I hang out with, what I wore, what kind of flash, bikes. But I know that got me nowhere. Actually, it got me somewhere, which is worse than nowhere, which was living death as an addict. So I'm chewing this over, right? It's not not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes. And I knew that was true. As a drug addict, I hated the birds. I hated the sunrise, because I was a serious drug addict and I would stay up for days and days and days. So when you heard the birds or you saw the sunrise and you were still high, that meant that was a reality check on how deep you were in the hole. And I hated the birds. It was me. I was just that